With HBO Max now being out for about 6 months, I finally got a membership, and to be honest, it has a lot of potential with the library of HBO, CN Studios, and Warner Bros., along with DC. It can honestly only get better from here. However, the originals are a little lacking. Now, I'm not acknowledging the originals that have switched over, like Doom Patrol, Infinity Train, or the Harley Quinn show. I'm more talking about the Craftopia and the fungies of the bunch. But there is one original that has more or less I've fallen in love with, and it's J.G. Quintel's Close Enough. Originally, Close Enough was going to air on TBS in 2017 until the AT&T merger moved it onto the upcoming streaming service HBO Max. The show was eventually released July 9, 2020, with 14 11-minute episodes and one 20-minute season finale. Honestly, I thought this was a great move by AT&T, because moving it to HBO Max, I'm having so much trouble saying that, was a good move because it gave them an original series to headline its release, and I think this show is it is the best one of the originals that has come out. To give a quick synopsis, Close Enough is about Josh and Emily, two late 20-somethings who are married and taking care of their 5-year-old daughter Candace. They live with Bridget and Alex, a divorced couple, and it follows their adjustment to adulthood and parenting. And there are other characters throughout the show that are kinda like side characters. The landlord Pearl, her son Randy, and the teacher. Okay, now that I got the synopsis out of the way, let's talk about what kind of separates Close Enough from the rest of adult cartoons, with one exception, obviously. To start off, the show is obviously funny. I mean, you take the guy who made Regular Show, probably the funniest cartoon on Cartoon Network in the 2010s. You give him basically the same production team, and then extra freedom, you're just bound to get something special. But just because it's an adult show doesn't mean it's overly raunchy for the sake of raunchy, like some adult cartoons are. Not all of them, but a decent amount, like Mr. Pickles, if anyone's ever even heard of that. But this show holds back, I wouldn't say it holds back, but it doesn't push forward the fact that, hey, we're an adult show and we're going to prove it to you. If it's going to say swear, it's going to say swear. If it's going to have something a little inappropriate, it's going to have something inappropriate. But it's not going to be like out of left field. It's going to work in with the story or just be a natural part of the dialogue. And it also, like a lot of adult cartoons, it doesn't have the same tired format, which is something's going on, something happens, it's solved, or the person gets distracted, and another issue arrives from that previous issue that headlines the majority of the episode. Instead of that being the format for Close Enough, it's actually very similar to Regular Show. We have some type of dilemma, a pregnancy scare, a family quilt, going to the club, whatever. Then, while trying to fix the problem, something goes just batshit insane, and we have some wild, sometimes magical issue that stems from that, like the vasectomy robots, or what was the one with the quilt? Oh, those weird orphan kids going to the club. They were like nobody over 30, stuff like that. It gets just super crazy. Now, I know me explaining the process of, or like the format of the episode doesn't really paint the best picture, so I encourage you guys to go watch some Seth MacFarlane cartoons or a Matt Groening one, and if you see the pattern, I think it will further show you what I mean. They're very similar. They all stem from The Simpsons, actually, because they were kind of the first to do it, and Family Guy does it pretty well too. But Close Enough is just very different from that. And lastly, the show has some form of progression in meaningful episodes. A lot of these episodes deal with Josh and Emily going through a parenting or an adulting crisis, not being happy with their home, kids failing class, and they have 2 episodes about midlife crisis with Josh's video game and that episode where they go to the club because somebody called them old. Each of these episodes hold weight and have good themes even when they're kind of smothered in that JG coat of insanity, which is a good thing because nobody wants to see some boring, heartfelt cartoon. We want to see some funny stuff, especially when it's by the guy who made one of the funniest cartoons of the 2000s. And if that's not enough to separate this from the rest, I don't really know what is, because I feel like that's enough. But now that we got that out of the way, it's time for the big question of the video. Is Close Enough just an adult regular show? No. No, it is not. So make sure to like and subscribe. I don't know. I thought it would be funny. Maybe it wasn't. Obviously, I'm going to explain why it's not like regular show. Instead of dealing with two slackers in a park, we're dealing with two adults adulting. Well, kind of a bunch of adults adulting, because there's 4 of them. And Josh and Emily aren't just a human Mordecai and a gender-swapped human Rigby. And the same goes for the rest of the characters. Pearl isn't a Skips, Alex isn't a Benson. It's just none of the characters. They don't really hold any similarities, except for the voice actor of Josh is JG, who voiced Mordecai. That's literally it. The show and its characters are original and very different. The stories, while structured the same, don't have really any similarities between regular show, like picking up a grilled cheese or, I don't know, setting up the chairs. Those are different from getting a vasectomy or going to the club. So I feel like the comparison is solely from the art style and the fact that the main guy Josh, sounds like Mordecai. That's really it. And the structure too. Okay, that's actually going to do it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe with those post notifications, and if you have any shows or topics that you'd like me to discuss, feel more than free to drop them in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next time, and remember that if you're getting a vasectomy, it should be reversible.